Welcome back to another unit of Gandhian ethics and philosophy. I am Dr. Eric Martin. Thanks for your introductions in the last unit. It's the only way I get to know my online students. Although, if you're around campus, I encourage you to drop by the office. If you don't live anywhere near Lewiston, we can do a FaceTime or a Google Hangout if you just want to, chat and make sure we're on the same page in terms of the course goes. But anyway, thanks for the introductions, and I also appreciate y'all's contributions in terms of the preliminary agendas. Now, in addition to introducing ourselves to one another last week, the main point of the unit was to introduce us to the field of ethics in terms of a formal branch of philosophy and get us thinking like philosophers and introduce us to some of the philosophical terminology and remind us or maybe even introduce us to some of the big thinkers in philosophy. And these names are going to come up again in your lives. They're going to come up again in this class. So we might as well start figuring out who they are, what they thought about. So that was really the main mission for the last class. And y'all feel free to go back and rewatch that video and make sure that you understand what's going on, a couple of weeks from now if you feel like you need to. And hopefully by now, some of the issues y'all are having with films on demand have been resolved. So please let me know if you have trouble with that. The first thing to do if you have trouble with that, by the way, is to contact the LCSC library and make sure that your password is accurate. And if your password is not accurate, if your password is accurate, then I got to deal with it. Okay. Unit 2, what we're doing in this particular unit is we are going to continue to build on our introduction to the philosophical discipline of ethics, but we are going to look specifically at the reasoning process that we ought to consider when we're thinking about an ethical problem. Now, this reasoning the process is laid out for you in this reading, Understanding the Foundations of Ethical Reasoning. It is shorter than it looks. There's a lot of bullet points there. There's a lot of diagrams there. But I want you to read it slowly and carefully to make sure that you understand the template. There's for lack of a better way to put it, the author gives us a bit of a template to think about when we're working our way through an ethical problem so that we can really practice thinking about situations from multiple perspectives and how we get into other people's shoes or how we get out of our own thinking. So that's the mission for that. And then, of course, there's an assessment to make sure that y'all understand that. I want y'all to have that assessment completed by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. So you got the week to do the readings on the Understanding the Foundation of Ethics and take the assessment. You'd be better off if you did it earlier, but if you don't do it until Saturday, fine. But Saturday, 11:59 p.m. is the deadline on that. The other thing that we're doing this week is we are going to start our introduction to Gandhi's life. So I have a YouTube video. It's housed on YouTube. It's a A&E biography on Gandhi, and it's pretty good. It's an hour. We're going to watch a few different documentaries on Gandhi. They're a little different, and they take different approaches. This is a really good just first one. I've laid out on the website how I want you to take your notes. So take a look at that and take good notes because we're eventually going to compare documentaries to one another, compare documentaries to what Gandhi said, and you would be smart just to go ahead and get yourself a good set of notes on this stuff right now. All right? So that's how we're how we're going to handle that. The other thing we're going to do this week to get ourselves acquainted with Gandhi is y'all are going to read Gandhi's 1948 New York Times obituary. And obituaries can be really cool ways to get a crash course on the big picture, right? The kinds of things a person did, the kinds of ideas they're known for, the kinds of background that they came up from. So we're going to take a look at this obituary. It's not that long. And then what y'all are going to do with that is you're going to go to our discussion boards and just follow the link, Introduction to Gandhi, and it'll give you a link to a set of questions. Now, here's the deal. I'm trying something new with this discussion board on this particular one. Y'all are going to have to create your own thread before you get to read anybody else's. All right? For your original thread, I want that done by Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. because I want there to be something up for people to read and then respond to. Your original thread up by Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. Your response to someone else's thread up by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. And you can read the questions that I have for you. You know, basically what it is I've just given you 6 or 7 different questions. Don't try to answer them all. Just start with one. Just do one. Don't go overboard. For your thread you create, a paragraph's probably fine. A good paragraph, well constructed. For your response to someone else's, it's got to be better than me too. All right? 2 or 3, 4 sentences is probably fine. How many responses do you have to do for other people? You have to do 1. But if you do more than 1, then we'll talk about extra credit, right? And really, what I'm hoping to get out of these threads is a back and forth discussion on some of these different issues that y'all are enjoying without y'all feeling like you are overwhelmed and compelled to spend your life on the discussion boards, okay? So we're gonna find some balance on that. Now, one thing that I don't have listed on the discussion board threads that I hope comes up, if y'all have any questions, there was something in the video that they said, there's something that occurred, and you don't understand what that was, bring that up. But you can read the questions and get an idea of the kinds of stuff that I want. Now, the other thing that I want to remind you for our discussion boards is I want the discussion boards for this class to be formal. Okay? I'll give your anything you post up, give it a quick copy edit. Make sure that you have an introductory sentence. Make sure that it is grammatically correct. Make sure that you've got paragraphs, that you have conventional grammar. We are going to use our discussion boards as a practice space for professional writing here in the 21st century. Many of us will have to either send emails or engage in discussion boards in our professional lives, and you need to use professional quality writing. There needs to be some polish. There needs to be some formality to it. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. Okay, that's Unit 2. One more thing, maybe a couple of more things. One thing is, don't forget, if you haven't started Gandhi's autobiography, it's time to get cooking with it, okay? Because Unit 3, we're going to discuss the Part 1 of Gandhi's autobiography. The reading has been light so far so that you could get into this, get into the next chapter. So for this class, in terms of the readings, you want to try to stay a week ahead, maybe 2 weeks ahead. A week ahead would be fine, just so that you're not getting, you don't get surprised with anything, and you know how to manage your time. Because after all, whether it's college or life in general, right? Time management's the name of the game, and so you want to look ahead and see how that works out. Now, I want to say one more thing. I appreciate y'all indulging me in this class. Like I said in the very first introductory video, at the very last minute, I rethought this class because I looked at what I was asking you to do, and it just seemed unreasonable. It seemed fun, but it didn't seem like any of us were going to have much of a life. And so you've got 25% of your overall grade that is writing on a final paper that I have not told you much about. I'm working on that. I'm working on getting some details, but just, in the back of your mind, don't forget, you're going to need to come up with some kind of a topic connected to Gandhian ethics, maybe connected to Gandhi's life, maybe connected to the way some of his ideas play out in the modern world. That kind of stuff is up to you, but just kind of be thinking about that in the back of your mind. And at some point, here in the next 3 or 4 weeks, it'll be time for me to ask for proposals, and let's see what kind of ideas we have, and let's start looking in the library for some additional resources and such. So just don't let that sneak up on you. Okay. All right. I think that's all I have to say. If you have any kinds of questions, concerns, anything like that, y'all don't think twice about dropping by my office, calling me at the office. My office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:30 to 11:30, and Wednesdays, 1:30 to 2:30. I'll be in the office at those times. I'm around a lot of other times, but I also know that most of y'all are not in the Lewiston area. If you want some kind of, FaceTime through Google Hangouts or Skype or whatever, we can arrange that too. Anything to, help you enjoy this course. So, having said that, get to your reading, get to the video viewings, and happy studying.